All right, let's dive right in. This wasn't just your standard run-of-the-mill handshake photo op. The recent G7 summit encounter between US President Donald Trump and Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi in France was actually a completely crucial diplomatic reset. Today we're going to break down this highly consequential meeting, covering the whole shebang, from global trade and emerging tech, all the way to a brewing, real-world crisis in West Asia.
Now, you've probably seen this viral quote floating around. President Trump basically described Prime Minister Modi as an angel, but in the same breath called him a killer and a tough negotiator. I know, it's wild. But honestly, it perfectly sets the stage for a summit that mixed this highly colorful, almost whiplash-inducing rhetoric with some really intense, high-stakes geopolitical reality. To keep us on track, here's our roadmap for today's explainer. 1. A high-stakes G7 encounter. 2. Chemistry and colorful quotes. 3. Crisis in the Gulf. 4. Trade deals and defense. 5. AI and the future. And 6. What this means for us.
Okay, let's jump right into Section 1, a high-stakes G7 encounter, setting the stage.
To really understand why this summit mattered so much, we have to look back at the absolute turbulence that preceded it. It's like a timeline of diplomatic headaches. Back in early 2025, real friction emerged over U.S. tariffs on Indian goods. Then in May, President Trump publicly claimed he helped mediate military tensions between India and Pakistan, a claim that, by the way, New Delhi firmly and publicly rejected. By late 2025, anxiety was just spiking over U.S. immigration policy and those higher H-1B visa fees. So by the time we reach Evian in June 2026, both of these leaders desperately needed to hit the reset button and get this crucial bilateral relationship back on track.
Moving right along to Section 2, chemistry and colorful quotes, the rhetoric.
What's absolutely fascinating here is the stark contrast in how these two leaders actually communicate. On one hand, you have Trump leaning heavily into their personal friendship with these vivid, highly informal descriptions, casually calling Modi calm and cool. On the flip side, Modi employs this highly structured, formal diplomatic language, carefully praising Trump's global leadership. It's honestly a masterclass in two completely different approaches somehow achieving a unified front.
As an example, Modi used his platform to formally commend Trump's recent memorandum of understanding regarding Iran. He very carefully acknowledged the U.S.'s diplomatic efforts in West Asia. But here's the catch. This formal praise was actually laying the groundwork to discuss a much more pressing, dire issue that was affecting India directly.
Which brings us to Section 3, Crisis in the Gulf, the human reality. So, beneath all that warm diplomatic praise lies a very serious regional crisis. We really have to ask, why exactly are Indian seafarers so critical to global trade and to these specific US-India talks? It's one of those facets of the global economy we almost never think about, until, the everyday items we order online suddenly stop arriving at our doors.
Look, maintaining open shipping lanes isn't just about the price of oil. It's literally about the human lives keeping those lanes open. India provides a massive, massive portion of the world's maritime labor force. We're talking hundreds of thousands of Indian citizens navigating the strategically vital Strait of Hormuz. And the urgency here spiked because 3 Indian sailors were tragically killed in recent U.S. military strikes in the Gulf of Oman. Prime Minister Modi made it crystal clear their safety absolutely must be a top priority in any agreements Washington makes with Tehran moving forward.
This instability in West Asia has a direct, profound human cost. When pressed on this issue, President Trump did acknowledge the tragedy, referring to seafaring as a rough profession. He pledged that the U.S. would work with India on this, but it's worth noting he stopped short of announcing any specific, immediate protective measures for those maritime workers caught in the crossfire.
Let's shift gears to Section 4, Trade Deals and Defense, the reality.
Behind closed doors, away from the cameras, these leaders were busy building 3 concrete pillars for their strategic alliance. First up is the India-US Compact, a major initiative aimed at accelerating military and tech commerce. Second, on the trade front, which remember caused so much of that recent friction, Trump announced an interim agreement is very close, and the U.S. trade representative is literally heading to India next week to try and push it across the finish line. And finally on defense, Trump made a very blunt public pledge. If India were attacked, the United States would be there to help.
Next up, Section 5, AI and the future, setting global standards.
Looking way beyond current conflicts, Prime Minister Modi introduced a super fascinating framework during the G7 outreach session. It's called MANAV. Basically, it's India's vision for a human-centric approach to AI. Instead of just focusing on wild, unchecked technological expansion, Modi argued that AI development has to be guided by inclusivity, security, and actual public benefit.
So how does that big idea actually translate into action? Well, it breaks down into 4 clear principles for global AI governance. First, Modi argued systems must be safe by design from the ground up. Second, deployment needs to be governed by common testing standards. Third, he highlighted the urgent need for global cooperation to combat deepfakes and cyber fraud. And fourth, this is crucial, he advocated that the benefits of AI absolutely must extend equitably to the global south, ensuring cyberspace is protected as a global public good.
And finally, Section 6, what this means for us.
To tie this all together, what we really saw in Evian was a deliberate and frankly successful effort to reaffirm the India-US Comprehensive Global Strategic Partnership. Despite a year that was fraught with real friction over tariffs and immigration, both leaders leaned heavily into their personal rapport to advance concrete cooperation in defense, trade, and the future of tech.
But I want to leave you with this provocative thought to consider. The handshakes and the memorandums, they look totally solid today. But how will this comprehensive global strategic partnership truly hold up under the immense pressure of shifting global alliances and that really dangerous ongoing instability in the Gulf? As these new trade deals finalize and the situation for seafarers evolve, the true strength of this G7 reset is about to be put to the ultimate test. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep questioning the global structures shaping our world.